All right. I think we got the phone lines up and we're ready to go now. So if you guys want to get these calls in, 205-850-0883. Let's talk Alabama and LSU. And I'm going right to the phone line and we'll talk here. What's up, man? Give me your score. What do you think about today's game?
Well, I'm thinking like 63-0. I feel like we're going to stomp a mud hole in LSU today.
Let me put up a graphic for you because I think you're going to appreciate how right you might be today. I'm going to move this guy out of the way here. Let's see if I can find it. I'm going to pop this up because one thing that we have seen over the years, and there it is that LSU on their home turf doesn't score a lot of points. And so You may be exactly right. Look, this could be one of those games that Alabama throws up a goose egg. 3 of the last 5 times Alabama has played in Louisiana, because in 2012 it was a game in New Orleans, they have shut out LSU. The last 2 times they've been in Baton Rouge, 29-0, 10-0. This defense is playing as well as they have all season long. And, you could be right. Do you think LSU, though, I mean, they've heard all this talk. Do you think that they come in a lot more motivated than they have been in maybe say in the past weeks?
Well, yeah, I will say that. I feel like they have a competitive edge towards going into the game, but I feel like it won't matter. You feel me? I feel like they already just beat up before the game.
Yeah.
They just drank.
Yeah. Who? So do you feel like in this game between Alabama and LSU that Mac Jones or Devontae Smith could have a Heisman moment, even though Alabama's ranked so high? Or do you think it's one of those games where no matter what happens, people aren't going to really give it credit because LSU's a bad football team?
Oh, I honestly feel like, Mac Jones and Devontae Smith, they're going to do their thing. Mac Jones finna get off. Devontae Smith finna get off. Ain't nobody finna stop them, boy. So it really don't matter. You feel me? We did it against the good competitive teams, and now we finna do it against the least competitive team.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, it's still LSU too, and it's still
you're right. But I could see them coming in with a little aggression.
Yeah, they're trying to do something, but Alabama takes everybody's best shot each and every week. So it's not like this is going to be any different than it was last week or the week before that or the week before that. So you said, give me your score one more time.
I'm calling from Montgomery, Alabama, and this is my score. For 60, I'd say about 63-0.
63-0. That would be something right there. If Alabama beats
I want to get a little shout out to my people. Shout out MG the game. Shout out DQ. Shout out Lil Dog. Shout out all them boys. You feel me?
Yeah. Well, thanks for calling in, man. Shout out to you for calling us in today and giving the score. If it's 63-0, I'm sending you a high five, man, because that would be the kind of game I like to watch. I don't want a competitive game. I want to see Alabama. I mean, let me play this video for you real quick. Have you seen this yet? Ed Orgeron talking at the middle of the field. I'm going to play this for you. And just kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at today when Alabama and LSU play. I mean, this is what really happened.
Right in the middle of the field. Everybody. Hey, we've been waiting for this moment, man. Let's go. Right here in the middle of the damn field. Let's bring it down. Tigers on 3.
Hell yeah.
Because this is our house from now on.
Yes, sir.
Tigers on 3. 1, 2, 3. Tigers!
All right, guys, look, I see your comments. I need you to call in and talk to me right now. Give me your score, 205-850-0883. We've heard from Montgomery, Alabama, a 63-0 score. I mean, can you look at the past, 5 trips down to Louisiana? The last 2 trips, LSU hasn't scored. And today I feel like Alabama has a lot of motivation. I mean, I feel like if you're the Crimson Tide, this is the type of game that you feel like you want to remind them. I mean, after all those comments that they made last year, that, you got to back it up. If you want to go in the locker room and you want to say stuff like, use profanity and kind of disrespect traditions from another school, then that's fine. But when the next time comes around, you can't make the excuse that you lost, how many starters from the year before. I mean, that's great. So you maybe look ahead before you start running your mouth. Maybe you sit back and you just say, hey, tip of the cap, good game, and move on. But that's not what happened. So, I'm looking, I think tonight Alabama comes in focused and motivated. And me personally, I'm going to wait until the end to give you my score. But I think that it's going to be a lot of Alabama and not much LSU. This is the formula for destruction for LSU. After watching how horribly bad that their offense performed last week against Texas A&M. Their defense didn't look too bad against Texas A&M, but I don't know how much of that was them or the fact that Texas A&M's offense really isn't that good. Alabama's offense is probably the best in the country. But listen, you got two quarterbacks, which wasn't it Bobby Bowden that said that when you got two quarterbacks, you got none? You try to bring in like two different guys. Like that doesn't work. It just, I don't know why. Alabama tried that in 1999, maybe. Was it with Andrew Zal and Tyler Watts? I mean, it was okay, but that's most of the time you just pick one guy and you go with it, and that's where championships normally are won. And then for LSU, the issue is that their starter, was injured. So now they're trying to like just zip two people in there. And to me, they're both pretty poor. I mean, right now, and then they could improve and become good quarterbacks. But right now, I don't look at them and think, okay, these guys are ready to step in and compete in a game like this. And I want to hear from you, 205-850-0883, 205-850-0883. Get your scores in. I see on the message board here, Jarvis says 63-3. I'm seeing a lot of this. Now that would be something right there. I will go down to Vegas if you think that LSU is going to win 24-17 and put the house on it, because you'd get 4 houses back, 8 houses. I mean, with 28 and a half point spread, going to be interesting. Here's Steven in at 66-0. That's a pretty interesting score. Darius says 48-16 Bama. That'd be a lot of offense, I feel like, for LSU. Alabama's defense has kind of hit their stride here lately, and LSU has an offense that looks a lot like they did before last year, before they got Joe Brady to come over from the Saints and really help them build their offense. Keith says 42-10. I think that's, that could be up there. I mean, look, last week Alabama would have beaten Auburn, 56-6 if they fumbled at the end of the game and they came down and scored. I don't think LSU's defense is as good as Auburn's, and I don't think that their offense is as good as Auburn. So to me, I mean, 42-10. I mean, that sounds reasonable. But you play those comments, and Nick Saban says, "Well, we the revenge and all that stuff." He's lying. I don't believe a word of that. I think that he's been thinking about this game for a long time. I think he's been thinking about all those times that they had LSU on the ground and instead of like dropping the atomic elbow, like Hulk Hogan used to do back in the day, we kind of let them up. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that when they're down, they're going to keep scoring. They're going to play this game all 60 minutes. I could see that, but could be wrong. 52-17. Another score that's come in. I want to hear from you guys too. Call in at 205-850-0883. Wanda, 64-4. Yeah, I don't know how you get the 4 points at 2 safeties in the game. That's the only way you get to 4. I could say 64-14 or maybe 64-6 or something. But if it was 64-4, that'd be the oddest score that you could ever imagine. So, look, the call-in line is open right now at 205-850-0883. I've worked hard to get this thing working again after somehow user error kind of led me down a bad road. But I love talking football with you guys. We don't have to just talk Alabama. We can talk about the SEC schedule. I'm going to get into that here in a second, and the fact that they've done a nice job to to revamp that schedule. Bobby says 63-3. I think you could be exactly right as far as where the score thing looks. I mean, here's Jeremy in at 54-7. I feel like that's a pretty legit. Christopher 52-3. I mean, all these are just enormous Alabama wins today. If LSU wins this football game, it's going to be one of the biggest, I'd say one of the biggest upsets ever, because I just think there's just so much going on just besides the football game. I mean, the rivalry here, it doesn't start until you actually beat Nick Saban, right? I mean, you don't have a rivalry if you're not beating him. Right. So I think that's a big part of this, too. All right. I'm going back to the phone lines and appreciate all you guys for calling in. We'll start back with a 205 number. Where are you calling from? What's your name? And what do you think about the game?
Hey, Nick. Tim from Birmingham. How's it hanging, man?
Hey, what's up, Tim? How's it going, man? Got the guitar ready?
Yeah. Well, I caught your comment on Tuesday about the one-hit wonder. And I was cracking up because the guys on your panel were going, "No, man, I never heard that song."
Oh yeah, Brandy.
But,
you're talking about Looking Glass. Yeah, like everybody's looking at me like I'm glass because they'd never heard of that song before.
That's a good one. But if you check the video out on YouTube, you think it should be a Kenny Rogers dude singing it because of the theme of the song and everything. Check out the video. This dude looks like Frank Zappa without the mustache.
Yeah, I've seen those guys before.
Have you seen that?
Well, I don't know if I've seen the video, but so this summer I got into a lot of the yacht rock. I've been out on the boats here in Fairhope, and that song would come on, and I'm like, that's a great song. So I looked up Looking Glass online, and I'm like, I never would have thought that these guys, like you said, they look like a bunch of Frank Zappas, and I theorized that they probably had so much fun with that particular song because they look like guys that were into drugs big. I don't know if they were or not, but I mean, that was definitely a time when you probably did a lot of that. They probably just enjoyed that song so much they forgot to write any other songs that were good. But that one song is still fantastic. I love it.
It is a great song. So this guy's got a shirt open with it tied in a knot down at his waist. That look. But Big Head Todd also covers that song and does a cool job. I mean, it's note for note. Key of E, they're all in the same note.
Oh, yeah.
So I really cracked up about that. I was trying to figure out how to cue that song and play it for you, but it would probably sound pretty bad.
That's all right. What do you think about
the game?
Moving
on. Well, I like the scores that are coming in. I'm going to give you my prediction, but let me ask you a question. Is Ed Orgeron's nickname now Cookie Monster?
When he was at Ole Miss, I remember going to the games and some guy wrote this song, you're talking about another song. And it was like making fun of his voice and kind of some of the stuff he would say at the press conferences. It was I think a year or two before he got fired, but he sounds like the Cookie Monster for sure.
That's a guy. I like the 52-3, which Christopher just, got in. I think they might get close enough to kick a field goal. I don't think either one of those quarterbacks have got enough punch to get past this D the way we're playing right now. Aggressive, rushing the passer. Neither one of them very good. Their receivers are falling out of the ranks, defecting.
Right.
So I'm going to go 52-3, man.
Well, Tim, thanks for calling in, and we'll see what happens today. I think you're right around where I'm feeling like this game's going to be. But have a great Saturday and roll tide, my friend.
Roll tide, buddy.
Going right back to the phone line. I want to hear what you guys think as you bring your scores in. Good call there from Tim. Phone line's 205-850-0883. Where are you calling from? And put you up here. Where are you calling from and what's your name?
Yes, hello, Mick. My name is Jarvis, and I'm calling you from Fort Worth, Texas.
Hey, what's up, Jarvis? Yeah, man. What do you think about today's game?
Oh, man. Where do I start? I mean, there's so many storylines that, what I'm curious to really see is how LSU comes out. The whole world has been telling them they're going to lose by 50 points all week. Edo's going to make them believe they can win. So that first quarter is going to be really interesting to see how they come out. But I think once they really see our game speed and feel that Alabama force, I'm just going to get wiped out. So it's a lot to look forward to tonight.
Yeah. I you know what? I've been on some bad teams. I played on the Alabama lacrosse team, and my first year we stunk. I mean, now we didn't talk any smack, but like it didn't matter what talk our coach gave. We were going to get blown out every game because we weren't bad. We weren't any good, So I wonder if LSU is kind of at that point. Now they have more talent than we did, but I just think that Alabama is so good and LSU is so young and inexperienced and right now bad at football. I think eventually they're going to be a decent team. I don't know if there's anything that they can do about Alabama coming to town. What are they going to, all of a sudden they're just going to like put pressure on the quarterback? No one's done that this year. This offensive line, they're beasts, right? You're going to all of a sudden Najee Harris is not going to be able to run the football. Well, then they'll bring in McClellan. They'll bring in Robinson. I mean, like they're going to. The guy that worries me the most, I just want to keep Devontae Smith healthy. I feel like after Jalen went down, I feel like he's so important. And I gotta admit this, every time he fields a kick, I take a deep breath because I'm kind of worried about that. But, my point is, and you jump in on this, is that we've all kind of played sports. Sometimes your team just isn't any good. And when you play teams that are great, no matter how much the coach tells you that they don't respect you, there's really not much you can do about it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Mick. And I think that's one of the really most kind of underrated storylines of the game overall is you have the consensus, unanimous, number one overall team, all the first place votes coming into town against one of the worst teams. I mean, that combination is set up for a perfect storm for LSU. And I really I think Ed Orgeron has lost a lot of sleep this week worried about this game. So I'm pretty sure he'll be happy when the game is over, whatever the final score is. I'm pretty sure he'll be ready to put this one behind them.
Right. Jarvis, here's a comment. I'm going to let you give me your take on this, but South House Production says they'll play dirty, and that's why they'll do it. He just wants. I'm guessing that he just wants all of our players to come back healthy. I've heard other people say that, maybe that you play dirty because you're frustrated. I honestly, I hope that's not the case because, I look at LSU as much as I've made fun of Ed Orgeron, and I've done that a lot because he gave me the platform to do it, right? Like when you make comments like that and you sound like he does, he said he won a national championship. I mean, he's national coach of the year, right? So he can take a little criticism from me, but they were also in this spot last year where they were the best team in the country and they're number one, and they played Alabama and they played other teams and no one took shots at them. No one took cheap shots at them. And I expect that that's the way that they would do it the right way. I hope I'm right. And that, we don't get into this game and all of a sudden they're trying to take guys' knees out and stuff. What do you think?
No, I couldn't agree more. And that is something that's a big concern too. I mean, because they're a proud program as well. They're not used to getting slapped around every week. So I think really after that Auburn game, the 48-11, that really kind of either deflated them. And I think that they won't want to, go through that again. So I do hope that the dirtiness doesn't play a factor. Like you said, I don't want to see Devontae Smith on too many punt returns today or any special teams if possible. And I think I'll kind of close out with this. This is one game that Nick Saban really wants. He's downplayed it all week, but I mean, in every game we've won, we've had something that we can improve on as well. So we're a flawed number one team as well. So we've always had something we can work on. Even last week we fumbled and things like that. So, I mean, we still haven't played our best game. I think we're going to get LSU with our best game of the year in every aspect tonight. So I can't wait. And I think we win 52-17 is my final thought.
Hey, great call, Jarvis. And hit me back later. I'll be doing this next Saturday. And, we've got shows tonight after the game. Kyle will be hosting the watch party during the game. And then after the game, we'll have the call-in show. So appreciate it, man. Awesome job. Thank you. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, and I can't wait for the bloodbath tonight.
I can't wait too, man. I'll be laughing. All right, see you. That's Jarvis from Texas. Great call. Let me go right back to the phone lines and bring in Cam from Brunswick. What's up, Cam? Roll Tide. How's your Saturday?
Yeah. Hey, Roll Tide, man. Happy Saturday. Hey, listen, man. I look for a blowout today. There isn't a statistic that LSU has against Alabama. I mean, Alabama leads in every category in statistics when you line these two teams up. And, I look for Alabama. Really, the only way I see Alabama's losing this game is turnovers, right? Mm-hmm. And the easiest way to turn the ball over is throw interceptions. So I think Alabama's going to start the game off, and I think they're going to run the ball. And I think they're going to wear LSU's defense down to where they're not going to be able to keep up with these Alabama receivers, and Mac Jones is just going to throw it down the field. And I think Alabama can score whatever they want to score today.
Yeah,
tonight.
I agree with that too. I agree with that too. I think, honestly, I guess for me, I'm looking at this and I'm going, Alabama's a better team. They're going to be motivated, and they're not going to feel pity for LSU because they lost a bunch of starters and they're having a bad season. To us, this is still LSU, and this is still a big rival. And it'll be a big rival next year. It'll be a big rival the year after that. These guys are always going to be trying to beat Alabama and take over the spot as, the kings of the SEC. And they've been close to doing that over the years. But the fact that they've won 1 out of the last 9 games against the Crimson Tide has really kept them back. I mean, honestly, I think the concern we talked about it before, is a dirty play. I don't think that's going to happen. I think LSU is going to go in there and play a clean game, just like last year, just like the year before, and the chips are going to fall where they may. And I think this year for them, that the chips aren't going to look good. I think it's going to be a bloodbath score wise, But what Ed Orgeron's got to hope is that his players learn from it, because that's a measuring stick. And I don't. The best thing about being kind of an Alabama fan, I'm a grad, you're an Alabama fan, is that you follow this football program, and we don't have years like this. I mean, it just doesn't happen. I mean, even with some of our terrible coaches, and between Gene Stallings and Nick Saban, there were some teams that weren't great, but they didn't get blown out like this. I mean, it was always competitive. We would, watch them lose in the fourth quarter. But, I mean, think about Nick Saban's first year in 2007. Do you remember that game? LSU won the national championship. They had 2 losses, but they still won the national championship. Do you remember that game in Tuscaloosa? It was like, Alabama could have won it. And it was like a fumble here, a bad snap, but they kept fighting and they kept pounding away. I don't know that LSU has the ability to play like that as a huge underdog.
No, I think if you look at the 2 schedules that LSU and Alabama have this year, I think this is, and I hate to say it, I've really never seen an LSU team play this bad, even under Les Miles. But this is going to be one of the most lopsided games on Alabama's schedule this year. And we're talking about LSU, a team that just won the national championship. And it really doesn't even seem right that we're talking about LSU in that fashion because of what they did on the football field last year. But we are. And LSU is going to get blown out today. And I hate, I would like to see good games. I'd like to see good matchups. But this is going to be a lopsided matchup. And I see Alabama winning really big today.
I had a conversation that some of you guys watched if you caught the Bama Insider Tailgate show last night, and you can go watch it now. I mean, it's still relevant until tonight. So, go watch it here on YouTube on the Bama Insider YouTube channel. But I had a conversation with Jared Roser, who's part of the Auburn rival site, and he was talking about all the talent that LSU lost and comparing it to past champions, in the last 30 years or whatever. And he described it as, they lost more players than Auburn after the Cam Newton 2010 season. Right. And I get that. I mean, like maybe for programs like LSU that this is a better strategy for them, kind of load up and have all of your players, kind of mature the same year. The formula for Alabama, though, hasn't been that. It's been, this team competes for a national championship every single year, no matter how many players Alabama loses to the draft. And there's been years where they lose seniors, then they have a bunch of juniors that go in. I think that really shows just how phenomenal and how unique this run that Nick Saban is on means to college football.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like every year, if Alabama doesn't win a national championship, the team that does, they're always in a rebuilding phase. And Alabama, they reload. And it's just amazing to see what Nick Saban's doing. There's never been a football coach in the history of college football to do what he's done in the fashion that he's done it and the amount of time that he's done it. I mean, you talk about Bear Bryant's turnaround team, within 3 years, Nick Saban won a national championship at Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
There's never been another coach to do it. I mean, I love Bear Bryant. I love the tradition that he's brought to Alabama. And, as far as the way he coached the game, there'll never be another coach the way he coached the game. But Nick Saban, statistically, in the amount of time that he's accomplished the things that he has, there's not another coach to do what he's done.
No, I think that it's his ability to stay focused, even in the face of winning, even in the face of enormous success, is his ability to stay focused and move on to the next season. Like to stay away from this defending national champions type feel, because it's a different team every single year in college. And it's a different team even in professional sports. I work with the Cubs. They won the World Series in 2016, 2017. Yeah, a lot of the players were back, but some of the guys were gone. It's a different team, and it was a different clubhouse and it's a different mentality, like for whatever reason, Alabama under Nick Saban is able to stay focused and treat every single season like it's that year where everything's coming together. LSU had that last year, and look at them now. Alabama has that every year.
Well, I look back at the 2009 football season when Orlando McClain and Deontay Hightower, we all remember that season. And Nick Saban had a press conference, and the guy was talking about Alabama, how after they beat Virginia Tech, about how great their team was. And Nick Saban said, look, it's just one game. We haven't done anything yet. And I think that's part of Nick Saban's strategies. He treats every game as a one-game season. And if you look at his track record, he's won 96 games in a row. I think it goes back to Louisiana Monroe, that first game, but that first non-ranked loss that he had at Alabama, but he's won 96 games in a row against non-ranked opponents. That tells you the level of focus that Nick Saban has, and it is untouchable. There's nobody, no coach, I don't think in pro or college, that has the focus that he has on each and every single game, because he treats it as a one-game season. Now, if every coach did that, you'd see there'd be a different type of football play. But Nick Saban treats every game as a one-game season. I think that's what you're going to see today is, hey, this is a one-game season. We lose this game, there's no telling what the committee could do.
Right.
It doesn't matter what everybody thinks or what we say or what, Alabama might still be in the top 4. He says, look, we lose this game, we get upset, there's no telling. They could put us out the top 5.
Yeah.
This is a one-game season, and we have to make it happen today.
Cam, I agree with you, too. You bring up a point that, I hadn't even really thought about today. But, I mean, that's what makes college football, to me, the best of all the sports, because the regular season is the playoff. I mean, from the very beginning until the end, the regular season matters. I've just thrown up this updated Alabama football schedule, right? And so we mark Auburn off after that win last week, 42-13. All right, this week, LSU. Next week, Arkansas. The week after that, the SEC championship game. And like what you're saying is, hey, Alabama is going to be focused on Auburn when they play them, then LSU, then Arkansas, and then the SEC championship game. We call it rat poison, looking ahead. But no one stays more focused on the next game better than Nick Saban in Alabama. Great point.
Yeah, exactly. And if you look at it, a lot of coaches try to leave Alabama and replicate what he's done. But I don't think that people understand what it means to win 96 games in a row against non-ranked opponents.
Right.
The media talked about how close Kirby Smart was to having a team like Alabama. But guess who they lost to last year? South Carolina.
Right. Yep.
Non-ranked. I mean, Bama did lose to South Carolina, Steve Spurrier, when Steve Spurrier was there. But South Carolina was ranked.
And that was a good team. And they had their best game ever.
So, that South Carolina team last year, I watched that game. I was there in South Carolina in Columbia when they played Alabama, and they kind of scrapped with Alabama, but Alabama finished the game. They played 60 minutes of football. And that's why I love Alabama football. And that's why I love Nick Saban, because every team that he puts on the field Saturday, they're playing 60 minutes of football. And I don't care if it's down to the last second. They're playing 60 minutes. And that's just my thoughts, Mick.
Yeah.
And thank you for this show and what you do. But listen, man, this Alabama team can score 70 points today if they really wanted to. And that's the way that's how I feel about it.
Yeah. What was your score again, Cam, before I let you go?
Well, my score prediction, I really didn't have one. Because it's just, it could be anything, so I'd say let's go with 65-3.
65-3. Yeah, I could see that happening. Well, thanks, Cam. Roll Tide, man. And don't forget, Kyle will be on after to take your calls. So if you're up tonight, give him a shout and join maybe for the watch party as well. Thanks, Cam.
Roll Tide, brother.
Roll Tide.
Later.
That's Cam from Brunswick, Georgia. Let's go right back to the phone lines and bring in Jeff from Selma, Alabama. Jeff, what's up, man? Roll Tide on a Saturday morning.
Roll Tide, Mick. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm just hanging out with you guys. 11 o'clock, I'm going to be off here. I'm going to be watching football. I'm very curious.
You ain't the only one.
Look, I'm really curious. I know we're going to get your score about Alabama, but I'm really curious about Texas A&M and Auburn. I'm glad that's an 11 o'clock game because that's my eggs and bacon.
That was my first game to watch. Yeah.
That's my eggs and bacon today.
Yeah, I am too, though, because Florida. I mean, not Florida. I'm thinking about Florida. How you say? Auburn usually pulls off a game for Malzahn to keep his job.
Yeah,
and that's basically what he's trying to do. Because if he doesn't beat Auburn, I don't know. He's the $49 million coach, but hey, if they have to pay him off, then they would probably. I'm sure, because if he doesn't beat those two teams, I don't know. I think he'll have a rough year next year. You already got the fans calling for his head.
Yeah. Look, every other year getting smoked by Alabama isn't good enough anymore because they've won the other. Look, he's 2-2 against Alabama. But the problem is that you lose to South Carolina, you lose to Tennessee.
Yep.
I was talking with Jay Tate from Auburn Sports, the Auburn rival site, and he said that that they lay a turd. That was his comment. And I said I just couldn't stop laughing.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
He said every once in a while they lay a turd. It's like, okay, that does get you in trouble because they want to compete for championships. But all right, let's talk about Alabama because I got to get to everyone's call here. But what do you think about today's game, Jeff? Give me your score and what do you think about this matchup?
I think that Alabama is going to just drag them, which everybody thinks that, I'm sure. I don't think their quarterback, LSU's quarterback, has a chance against our defense. He's coming in there out of the gates pretty much. It's kind of like our defense came out last year against everybody else. They was young, they were hurt, and you had to play to the best of your abilities. But I just don't see Finley doing anything against Alabama. I don't see it. And no.
So what's your score?
I'm gonna go 62-0. I'm gonna go a goose egg on them because I don't think they'll get over the damn 20. Sorry.
Yeah. I got the feeling that like they'll probably they'll probably have a couple of plays early in the game that they've like drawn up like against certain defensive packages. And then I think after that, it's going to be very tough sledding for them. I agree. So what's your score?
Well, you know how 62-0.
62-0.
Like I said, I think they're going to play a goose egg. And what really comes down to is preparation. Who's the better team? Who has the better players? And I know that LSU is down this year. I know that they're having problems, and they're about to have more problems with these sanctions and violations coming up. So it's not going to get any better for LSU no time soon. But I don't see them doing anything. Yeah, they might pull up a couple of trick plays. They might get some garbage runs. But I don't see them scoring on us. I just don't think our defense is like you got 5 of the players that was on the defense last year that lost to LSU by 5 points. You know they want that game.
No, I know.
You know they want that game bad. You know the offense want. You mean Smitty come back, Harris come back. And then you got the young guns. I heard somebody saying that I think it was Uncle Lou. Yeah, he said if Alabama gets ahead, like in the halftime, say it's 28 or 35 to nothing, do you think Nick Saban will pull the starters out? I really don't think he'll pull them out into the third quarter and give Bryce Young the fourth quarter to himself. Now, if he starts messing up, then I think he'll put Jones right back in. But I don't think it'll matter after the second half starts because I just don't get LSU is just nothing this year. I mean,
here's the thing on this one, Jeff. If Alabama gets off to a really fast start, I'm looking for LSU to quit. I'm looking for them to quit. I think that I just think they will. I think they'll just want to get the game over with. That it'll be one of those things where like the sooner that the thing ends, the better off. I could see them running the football a lot just to try to make the clock move and just get out of this. That's if Alabama starts quick. Now, if Alabama makes mistakes, doesn't score, lets them hang around, it could be a different type of football game. I think Alabama's still going to win and cover the spread, but I could see, another scenario is that, Alabama gets off to a slow start and leaves LSU in the game, and maybe, they come out in the second half and put them away. But I don't know. I just think about all that talking last year, and I just think that Alabama players know that this one's important, and, and that they want to make sure that they pay them back for what happened last year. Not necessarily the fact that LSU won, but just the taunting the recruits and and then talking all that smack on the middle of the field, and then the Roll Tide FU comment from Ed, this is the first. Like he said that we're going to beat Alabama every time we see them recruiting on the field. That's his comment. Well, this is the first time, so I'm looking forward to this, what happens. And maybe they go out there and they win this game, LSU, and we're coming back on here tonight and, we're eating crow,
No. Sorry.
Yeah.
They're not beating us, man.
Well, Jeff.
They could calm down anybody they wanted to and say, hey, can we get some help? Nah, no help this year. Sorry. And another thing is, if you add fuel to a fire, what do you get? An explosion.
Ooh, yeah. Well, that's what's going to happen. Well, I got Sam and Chris waiting to get in. And, Jeff, I appreciate your call, man. Have a great Saturday and Roll Tide. And don't forget, Kyle will be on after the game taking calls.
Oh, yeah, I'll be there with bells on. Roll Tide.
Hey, Roll Tide, man. Thank you.
Roll Tide, Nick.
I'm going right back to the phone line again. And we got Sam and Chris lined up. I'm going to start with Sam. Sam, what do you think about today's game? Roll Tide, thanks for calling in.
Roll Tide, man. How you doing, Mick?
Good. I'm feeling pretty good. Jeff had me cracking up. I mean, but are we overconfident? 28.5 points. Are we overconfident going into this game? That's what I'm starting to wonder right now.
Oh, no, I don't think we're overconfident, man. I think our team is confident in their abilities of what they are capable of doing tonight. And I mean, I think they're looking forward to it. And like what's his name, Jeff? Like you said, man, Ed Orgeron added a lot more fuel to the fire, man. I mean, we was looking forward to this game. We wanted to kind of avenge the loss that we had last year. I mean, we lost the game last year because of what? We turned the football over, man.
Yeah.
We turned the football over a couple of times. They capitalized off of those turnovers. They scored 14 points off of those turnovers. And we had a box punt, which they capitalized on as well and kicked the field goal. So that's 17 points that we spotted them.
Yep.
You know?
Look, I'm a huge Tua guy.
Go ahead.
And Sam, I love Tua, but that was he had a terrible first half. The fumble when we were going in, right? And it was like the thing that killed Tua that I got to say Mac has just not done this year is that Tua's always trying to force something, and he's an amazing talent, and I love Tua. I mean, look, these pictures right behind me. I love him. But he had that fumble and then that interception right at the end of the first half. LSU's offense was like our offense this year. You can't give them the free points. If you're going to beat Alabama, and look, we saw Ole Miss give Alabama all they wanted, right? But the mistakes that they made came back to haunt them, right? We made those mistakes in last year's football game, but I didn't feel like LSU was that much better than Alabama last year. That's the best team they've ever had.
Right. And they weren't. In all honesty, they weren't. I mean, and like you were saying earlier, man, I mean, you can create all the excuses you want, for this game. You can say we had injuries. They lost a quarterback. Yeah, we lose players every year. We lost Waddle this year, a main contributor to our offense. So they can create the excuse. Well, we had opt-outs and transfers. Well, we had two. I think Killian Robertson, I think he's still on the roster, but he's not. I think he's opted out this season.
Right.
Maybe we'll see him next season, And we had transfers as well. Then they'll say, well, we have a lot of attrition for early interest into the draft. Well, we have that every year, So, and then the last excuse would be, what about our offensive and defensive coordinator? They left for, higher grounds. Well, we had in 2018, we had 7 coaches to leave. We changed 7 coaches. But where are we every year? We're competing for championships each and every year. And we've had a lot of injuries, a lot of attrition. I mean, injuries. When I say injuries, I mean the injuries to major player starters, and not just during the season, but before the season. So you gotta be able to adjust and move on, man. And it just, I don't know. They got excuses. You just look forward to what's going to happen later on. I just think in the game, I think our defense just need to stop the run and make them one-dimensional, man. And just suffocate their offense. And I want to see our defense just continue to improve up front, because I think they kind of got a makeshift offensive line. I want them to dominate their offensive line and just put pressure on the quarterback. I think is his name DJ or TJ Finley. Is the quarterback?
Yeah,
that's going to be starting tonight.
Yeah, but they switch them both back and forth.
Yeah, he's not very mobile. He got a good arm on him. Not very mobile, but keep him running around in that pocket, or don't let him escape the pocket. Because they had Bo Nix kind of running around like a little chicken last week, and just don't let this guy, beat you with his feet. And I don't think he will, but just continue to, put pressure on the guys. And offensively, I think they're going to do their thing. I think they need to just establish the run and be physical up front. Keep Mac 10 upright, man.
Yeah.
And get the ball to your playmakers. Just keep it simple, man. Just get the ball to your playmakers and protect the football, man. act like that football is your is just you think about it. Act like the football is your child.
Yeah.
You know, you love your child. You don't want to give your child away to anybody else. You protect that football. You don't want that football going into the wrong hands.
Yeah.
You know. And now what I would like to see tonight, I know that on offense, I think the big three is going to do that thing. I know they're trying to highlight this matchup between Devontae and Stingley. Yeah, I think they're going to be matched up at times, but, you know, I think that our offensive coordinator, I think he's going to move Devontae around and do a lot of things with him, man. So, I mean, you know, I think the big three is going to do that thing, you know. But I want to on defense. I want to see it like last week. I wanted to see our linebackers. I want to see our linebackers to see how well they're going to play. Yeah, especially Will Anderson and Chris Allen. They keep improving each and every week.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Malachi Moore. How about Malachi Moore? I mean, this guy's like Honey Badger. Their own guy said he's the next Honey Badger.
No, he's not the next Honey Badger. Don't compare us to anybody.
Wrong uniform.
You compare our players to somebody that's been in our program, and that probably be the closest thing would probably be Nick Fitzpatrick. We're not going to give you no credit, Honey Badger. I'm sorry about that, bro.
I remember Honey Badger getting burnt in that championship game.
Yeah, he got burnt bad.
Like toast.
But yeah, I want to see our linebackers. I do want to see our inside linebackers improve. Mostly Dylan Moses. I think he's going back home. Him and Chris Allen and Chris Harris. They're going back home to their old stomping grounds, and I want them. I hope they are more hyped for this game than we are. You know what I mean? So, but I also want to say, well, I normally don't do predictions, Mick. I normally don't do predictions. I know last night Jennifer said she gave them too much credit, man. 17 points. You quickly you checked her with that 17 points, man. But I normally don't do predictions, but I say 56-6.
She's an Auburn fan, though. You got to remember that. She's an Auburn
fan. Yeah, but
you say 56-6. I
would like. Yeah, I would like a shutout, but 56-6, I'm gonna go with that, man. But I want to see us really dominate this game to where I want to see Paul Tyson get in the game, man, to see what he can do, see what he's about, you know?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, look, I would love to see that. I know that it's important for Bryce Young to get as many reps right now as possible because the better Mac Jones' season goes, the more likely that he leaves for the NFL. And honestly, I haven't really been that impressed with Bryce yet, but I wasn't impressed with Mac either, so you have to go at your own pace. Last year, I didn't think that Mac Jones was going to be a Heisman Trophy contender. I didn't think that he was going to be this good. I'm glad I was wrong, so I know Bryce Young's more my style of quarterback. I like a guy that's mobile. I like the fact that he's got just an incredible arm. He can throw it downfield. And so all these games where he's getting in and playing are important to him and his development to become that player that we're going to need him to be. So, I think that him getting into any of these games is going to help Alabama in the future so that we don't have a season like LSU's having this year.
Right. I think what kind of hurts him, and you can see that, he has the talent, but he just don't have it. I mean, things haven't really clicked with him yet. I think the spring ball kind of hurt his development also. And I think he probably would be a lot further along if he had went through spring practice. But what I would like to see him, but then also get into the third guys like Paul Tyson. He hasn't hit the field yet, so I also would like to see him. But yeah, man, that's all I got, man. I hope y'all enjoy the game. Hey, man, before you leave, you got to play it one more time, dude.
I will.
Gotta play it one more time.
I'll get it for you, man. I'll get it for you. Let me go back on the calls, but don't go. I'm going to give it to you guys one more time before I get off here. And you know what Sam's talking about. We got to hear Coach O telling us about what's going to happen. and whose house they're in. Hey, have a great Saturday, man. Roll Tide, Sam. Thank you.
All right, you too, man. Roll Tide. See you, man.
All right, awesome call there. Let's go back to the phone lines. Chris from Birmingham's been waiting to jump on. Hey, Chris, thanks for hanging around, man. Roll Tide. How's your Saturday?
Well, today I have a funeral to attend, actually two. One is just family, and pray for the family and whatnot.
Yeah, man.
But
Sorry to
today,
hear that.
I see you're wearing your black, and I'm wearing my black as well. Because today, well, our anticipation as well, we are going to bury them. If I want to be frank, so I even let's say I even like talk my trash. Days going up in pride, and I saw it on a live stream to what Tiger Zone on Baton Rouge and ESPN. Simply asked added the in a live chat added the I guess the commentator, added the LSU commentator, added them saying, so what type of funeral should I bring for the burial this Saturday? I'm saying, what type of flowers should I bring for the burial this Saturday? And he said, I don't know, I'm not a florist. Well, guess what? It's going to be a florist today.
Yeah. Chris, let me play something for you real quick, man. I just kind of on the theme of why we're at the point we are. And I promised that I would play this. I'm going to play this for you too and for everybody at home just one more time, you know.
Right in the middle of the field. Everybody. Hey, we've been waiting for this moment, man. Let's go. Right here in the middle of the damn field. Let's bring it down. Tigers on three. Hell yeah. Because this is our house from now on. Yes, sir. Tigers on three. 1, 2, 3.
They had a good time last year, didn't they?
Someone said a little bit too good. You think they won the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
But not that they did not escape Tuscaloosa unscathed. Not that you think they just came and just slaughtered everything. But since I'm on the record of slaughtering, you want to move representation of what's going to happen in Tiger Stadium, to the supposed place at nighttime where dreams die.
Death Valley. You mean Death Valley?
For an 8-year kid that's where miracles happen. But okay, when what's going to happen? It's a movie called The Players Club. The shooting scene in Saban's going to stroll in. He's going to simply yell out this: if there's anyone who doesn't want to get murdered, GTFO. The wide receiver opting out. Like a few days before this, the best wide you got, one of the best you got, is proof enough. we're heads are going to roll today.
Yeah,
and we're just gonna dance on the fire that graves today. But you would think though the spree would be super high. We all want it to be Alabama fans, but Saban respects his unlike Coach Catfish bone stuck in his throat. Saban respects his opponent enough to not give us such a high point spread. So I'll go with simply Bama 54. Let's see. Well, that's just being lenient. Bama 54 and LSU probably 3 or 7.
Yeah, somewhere in there. You say they get on the board, they score. Which you can look at my graphic, Chris, and scoring in Louisiana, which I guess Nick Saban needs to go to the center of their field and say, this is our house, not from now on. Like, this has been our house from 1969 all the way up until now,
in 8 years skid. Coach O thinks that never happened.
But I mean, look, our house is 29-0, 10-zip. 2013 and 21-17, both really good games. 21-zip, they didn't get the ball past midfield. That was in New Orleans, but I don't have the audio of Nick Saban going on the center of their field on that Tiger Eye or near Mike the Tiger's cage and saying, from now on, this is our house. It's like we just walk back in the locker room, do the press conference, take a shower, get on the bus, and move on to the next game. But that's what Alabama does.
Like my coworker said, he's a Bama fan. He said they're about to know the difference between what happens in a lightning and a ball or one-hit wonders. Like, I don't know, somebody who makes a one hit record and then you hear from again. It's the actual dynasty.
Yeah,
what a real dynasty look like.
Yeah.
Okay, and honestly, all I can really say after that is honestly, like, we really want this. We really wanted this game. That's the majority of why the team came back just for this game. To honestly say this supposed narrative that he thinks is happening. And honestly, it's a false narrative because, as Mark Ingram once said in actually Baltimore Ravens locker room, LSU was our redheaded stepchild. You son. but apparently I'm just talking out my ring, I guess.
No, Chris. Well,
Roll Tide.
Yeah, Roll Tide, man. Thanks for calling in. Have a great Saturday, and call back in tonight. Kyle will be there taking your calls after the game. So, I know it's a tough day for you, but I really appreciate you making time for us, man. Roll Tide.
No time.
That's Chris from Birmingham. I'm going to take your calls on the fly, and love that passion, man. Love that passion. All right, 205 number. Where you calling from, and what's your name?
I'm from Marshall County, Alabama.
Well, Roll Tide. What do you got for us?
Well, I do want to talk about the Auburn game last week because I know I called in last week, Friday. And Auburn, I thought they were going to do better than they did, but they showed they weren't nowhere near our level. And I think it's going to be the same way with the LSU game, but the LSU game is almost like an iron ball, but it's, I don't know, bro.
You're kind of
thoughts on it.
Yeah, you're kind of breaking up a little bit, but look, I it's a different type of rivalry. LSU, I honestly have always enjoyed the back and forth with Tiger fans, like going back to my days as a student, and going down to New Orleans, and then swinging over to Baton Rouge for the game, and then going back to New Orleans and Bourbon Street and hanging out for those Saturdays. You got little kids cussing at you and telling you that you're Tiger bait, you're there, like you're wearing an Alabama shirt. Like some people don't want you at their tailgate. Some people yell at you and then hand you a cold beer and some gumbo, It's a mixed bag, but it's always fun and interesting. It's a different culture in the South, but it's a good culture. And I've always enjoyed the rivalry. But the thing about it is that when Nick Saban came to Tuscaloosa from Miami, before that he was at LSU, and he turned them into a national power. He taught that program how to win, and they really haven't stopped winning. I mean, to give them a lot of credit. And they've had, 3 different coaches, counting Nick Saban, that have won championships. So to me, that puts them on an elite status, and so I respect them. But I thought last year a lot of the things that they did was classless. I just thought it was classless. I think that you know what, you act like you've been there before, and they didn't do that. And I really feel like that's what makes this game, to me, interesting. I mean, you're talking about a 28.5-point spread, and yet we all can't wait to watch because we want to see how bad this turns out for LSU. It's like when you watch those old school wrestling matches, and like Ric Flair is the champ forever, right? Back in the day. But he's always talking, and Dusty Rhodes is chasing him down. And finally at Starrcade, they meet, and Ric Flair gets a beating put down on him, and Dusty Rhodes finally wins the belt. It's like, I feel like that Alabama's been the champ for a long time, and then LSU knocked them off last year, and now this is finally the rematch. Even if it's just for pride, even if it's not even for a championship belt, this is. You look at that picture on the screen and you see those 2 uniforms side by side. It means something when these 2 teams play, because there's a lot of championships being won between these 2 programs, in the last 20 years.
Yeah, and as some other people said, if somehow LSU, I don't know, end up bringing an upset, I'm gonna have to give them props. They worked, but at the same time, what they did last year and said, "Your house." I mean, it's their house. I don't know why they would do that, to be honest.
Yeah, well, give me your score. I got one more call, and then I'm going to watch the Auburn Texas A&M game. But give me your score, and again, I appreciate you calling in.
As I was saying to one of my friends, I think it's going to be in the 50 to 60 range, and at most they're going to get 7 points, LSU.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to say 58-7.
58-7. Awesome, man. Well, Roll Tide. Have a great Saturday.
Roll Tide.
All right, great call there. One more call, guys, and then I'm busting out to go watch a little college football. This is a 228 number. Where are you calling from? What's your name?
Hey, it's me, Mark, again, and calling from Bay St. Louis, Mississippi.
Hey, what's up, man? Love that area.
Hey, I just wanted to talk about some coaching. Like, I remember hearing something maybe last year or 2 years ago about Nick Saban kind of wanting to stop this coaching pipeline he has, where people come for 1 year as a coordinator and leave. And I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I heard a story about him wanting to hire coaches for 2-3 years. And I want to talk about Coach Sarkisian. Like, do you think he plans on? Is he going to be looked? I know he's going to be looked at, but do you think he's actually going to take another job or stay at Alabama maybe another year or two before bouncing?
Yeah, you bring up a great point. I would do these radio post-game shows on the old station I worked at, and it'd be after games, and I can remember different years where we would get into the postseason, and half of the coaching staff would be rumored and eventually take jobs with other schools before the season was over. And it would just be so disruptive to what Alabama's team that year, the team that they signed up to coach, were trying to accomplish. I mean, just to give you an example, Lane Kiffin, who I think is one of the most complicated people that I've ever kind of, covered in a way, because he's a genius. He's an offensive genius. Like, the guy is, you saw what his team did against Alabama earlier this year. You see how he helped turn Alabama's offense around, as an offensive coordinator. He's got these off the field things to follow him, or off the, outside of the workplace. But he's a great coach. And then, like, he didn't even make it through that last season. And I feel like that Alabama beats the Clemson Tigers in that championship game if he's there, because it's hard to replace him. Steve Sarkisian has left the program before. He went to the NFL. That didn't work out for him. He's been a head coach twice, once at Washington, once at USC. He's only going to be as good as the talent that he has around him. And I mean, like, at Alabama, you got, 5-star, 4-star talent. We follow the recruiting aspect of it. And it's easier for those guys to coach when they have better players to coach. Do I think he's going to leave and take another job? I don't know. There's a lot of stress that goes into being a head coach that you don't have to deal with as a coordinator. And he could be like Kirby Smart and wait for his dream job. Kirby played at Georgia. He wanted the Georgia job. He stuck and waited, and eventually he got that job, right? And he's actually done really well there. He hasn't won a national championship, but he's come really close. I mean, look at that picture behind me, right? And second and
right.
What is it? 2nd and 26 or whatever it was. So do I think that Sark's going to leave? I don't know, but I don't feel like this coaching staff is going to be like the coaching staff he had, like, what was it, 3 seasons ago, where Nick Saban shows up and half the coaching staff's left, and some guys he didn't even know were leaving were gone for other jobs. I think that this is a younger staff. We've seen it with Pete Golding, that they're learning. They're not always perfect. They take a beating when things don't go well, but at the same time, we didn't have a mass exodus last year, and that set us up for this season where there's some continuity, and I just hope that continues. I haven't really heard Sark's name as far as coaching rumors. I'm sure teams are interested in talking to him, but I haven't really heard his name come up. Like with Lane Kiffin, you knew he wanted to. He took whatever job he could get, and obviously it paid off because he went to a school in Florida no one ever heard of, and then did well there, and then now he's at Ole Miss, and I think he's going to be, after just winning the Egg Bowl last week, I think he's going to be able to recruit. I think he's going to be able to score. If he's going to be a thorn in Alabama's side, we saw that this year. They're going to be tough to beat when they get some defense. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, look, you got Jeremy Pruitt, you got Jimbo Fisher, you got, every time Kirby and Lane, and every time you turn around, there's a Saban assistant coaching a program. So to think that Sark's not eventually going to be a head coach, I guess would be naive, unless he feels like if he waits it out here, he could eventually be Alabama's head coach. And I think that if Nick Saban retired, then that's a possibility. I mean, look, the guy's 1-0 and he beat Auburn, right?
Yeah. Like, he already has set up a springboard into coaching because, like, of course, he's been a head coach before, and the work he's doing at Alabama. But, like, I kind of credit Sarkisian for why Mac Jones is good is better than we expected, because, if you're switching, like, offensive coordinators every season, it's hard for, like, a backup quarterback who's going to be starting next season to, like, learn a whole new system. And with Sark coming back, it's kind of like you're not learning a new system. You're just going back to the system. Going back and learning the system and getting better with it. So, like, Sark's back next year, and Bryce Young is the starting quarterback. I believe Bryce is going to, like, have a pretty good sophomore campaign. Or, yeah, would it be sophomore? Yeah, sophomore. And I believe personally Bryce Young is a better quarterback than Jones, just pure athleticism and pure talent. But Mac Jones, what he's been doing this season is, like, completely unexpected. He's like the Joe Burrow of this year, obviously.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. People have tried to say Kyle Trask is the Joe Burrow of this year. No, I don't see that. I think that he's in an offense where they throw the football a lot. They don't run it that much. They're not balanced. I see what the comparison to me has got to be Mac Jones being Joe Burrow. And it's going to come down to that Florida-Alabama game, most likely, for the Heisman. And the funny part about it is it's going to be the defenses that decide who wins that Heisman, because if Alabama is able to put pressure on Trask like they did last week, playing Auburn and Knicks, I think it makes it a lot more viable for Mac Jones to be the guy that figures out how to win the Heisman. All right, well, give me your score prediction, because I'm about to jump off here and go watch a little college football, my friend.
Yeah, I got to get back to work. And my score I'm predicting is, I think LSU would do a little bit better than Kentucky. So I say 63-10. They'll get a touchdown and a field goal.
Awesome, man. Well, look, have a great Saturday. Thanks for calling in. Don't forget, Kyle will be on. He'll have the watch party during the game, and then afterwards he'll be taking calls and catching up with you guys on what you thought about tonight's game from Death Valley. Have a great Saturday and roll Tide.
You too, man.
All right, great calls, guys. I appreciate all you guys for calling in. It was a lot of fun on this Saturday. The watch party's coming up tonight, and then the post-game show with Kyle Henderson. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel. You guys have made this channel what it is right now, and that's it's a hot stock, man. Every time I click on, I see that more of you guys have joined what we're doing and have become part of the Bama Insider team. So have a great Saturday, and we'll talk to you really, really soon. Roll Tide, everybody.